All right. Hi, we are excited to launch the new FloorCare equipment rental program. Today, I am joined by members from the facilities COE and our partners in supply chain. My name is Martha Schofield. I'm a part of the facilities COE, and I'm with Don Piles, Craig Arnold, and Julia Fishburne, who is our partner at supply chain. During this virtual webinar, we are going to give you a brief introduction and program overview of our rental program, our rental equipment program, partnered with Sunbelt Rentals and USA Clean. We're going to go over when to rent versus buy and some of the benefits. We'll dive into the program details, and then where to find questions at the end and where to go for the resources. I'm going to pass it off to Don Piles, who's going to give us an overview of the program.
Thanks, Martha. So if any of you had the opportunity yesterday to hear Eric talk about on Aramark Connect about our need to utilize the relationship that we now have with Avendra since we purchased them, this program is an example of that. So Avendra had a great relationship with Sunbelt Rentals, and we're going to partner with them on that relationship. The other vendor that is approved for this program is USA Clean. And if you say to yourself, I know that name from somewhere, that's where we bought, or that's where we buy rather, most of our parts for our cleaning equipment. So we have two pre-approved vendors for this program, Sunbelt Rentals and USA Clean. Both of those rental companies have floor cleaning and project cleaning equipment available for us to rent. As you'll see in the middle of the slide, they both have square scrub machines, they both got carpet extractors, rotos, auto scrubbers. We're not talking about auto scrubbers that you would rent for an entire year to clean, for example, a high school, but more an auto scrubber that you may rent to help you execute project cleaning during the summer months. Sweepers, both walk behind large area sweepers as well as industrial type sweepers in case you might have to sweep a parking garage. Towards the end of the program, we'll talk about other industrial machines that Sunbelt also has for rent, and we've got contracts with Sunbelt, so it makes it very easy to rent this equipment. We've negotiated rates for all of this equipment to rent it for a week, a month, or quarterly. Now, when we talk about quarterly, that doesn't mean January through March or April through June. That means any 3 consecutive months that you rent the piece of equipment, you would get quarterly rental rate for the equipment. So let's talk a little bit about what the benefits are associated with the rental program. As you know, we are pressured constantly to maximize the use of our capital. So last year at AOP, it was explained that we needed to improve our ROIC, and we can do that by many ways, but one of which is by minimizing the amount of capital that we spend. So it's hard to believe, but over the last 5 years, we have averaged $1.5 million of spend per year on the 3 pieces of equipment that you see shown here. That's an E5 carpet extractor, a square scrub machine, and a roto. So we have the ability to save the company $1.5 million per year by renting this equipment rather than purchasing this equipment. When I say save them the money, I mean saving them the capital. The program also eliminates the overpurchase of equipment. We know that there are accounts out there that have 10 square scrubs when they only need 5, or they've got 3 carpet extractors and they only really need 1. With this new program, you will be able to rent the exact equipment for the exact time that you need the equipment. It eliminates the exposure on less than a 5-year contract. So we all know that if we get a 3-year contract, we depreciate our equipment for 5 years. If we happen to lose that contract after 3 years, we have to take a financial hit to write off the last 2 years of depreciation. Under this program, you wouldn't have any depreciation, you would simply rent the equipment. It ensures that the equipment is ready to use. We all know that at the end of a very trying summer project period in education, for example, we're so glad to have the work done. We put the equipment away, we get it out the next year, and that's when we remember that it wasn't working properly when we put it away. The new program, when you rent equipment, they will bring you equipment that is working properly, and they're responsible to keep it working properly. Reduces the need to store equipment. We all know that space is at a minimum for us, and we want to maximize the use of our space that's available to us at an account. In this case, if you rent the equipment, you never have to try and find a storage space to store the equipment until you need it 9 months later. It reduces the equipment maintenance cost. So on this program, when we're done with the equipment, we send it back to the rental company. They will go over it. If there's maintenance that's required under normal wear and tear, they will provide the maintenance at no cost to us, and they will make it ready for the next time that we need it. We rent it from them again, so we don't have to maintain the equipment. Reduces the potential of lost or stolen equipment. I know that it's hard for everybody to believe, but we lose a lot of equipment throughout our different accounts, whether it's misplaced, stolen, for whatever reason. We know that we have equipment that we can no longer find. And then it also eliminates the need to recapitalize equipment after 5 years. So we all know that after the equipment reaches the end of its depreciation, we're going to see that value of the depreciation fall through to the bottom line. It becomes frontline contribution. And if we don't buy equipment in the next year, then we're saddled with that becoming margin for us. And when we do need equipment, we no longer have the capital available to buy the equipment with. So it's important that we try to maintain that so we don't have that windfall of depreciation falling through. When you look at leased price or rental equipment, it falls under the cost of goods sold category. It becomes a cost of doing business, and we will get it back in our budget every year so that we don't have to worry about depreciation falling through. Now, one thing we have to remember is that depreciation is evenly scheduled throughout the entire year, where if we're going to rent equipment, that will all hit in one particular quarter, the quarter when we start to do the project work at the account. So in higher education and K-12 accounts, usually that is the summer months. So we'll just have to be a little bit better at when we plan on that expense occurring. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Craig Arnold, who will have a conversation and discussion about what equipment to rent versus buy. So Craig, you want to take it?
Yeah, thanks, Don. When to rent versus buying of the equipment. And what we really want to look at is not replacing our current equipment as the depreciation expires, but begin to look at how we're using that equipment. Maybe seasonally, as we look at the equipment for summer projects, for winter projects, those type of events that we're looking at. And then some of the infrequent used equipment. And Don's already mentioned it a couple times, really looking and focusing around the square scrub units that we're using for doing power scrubs, strip of the floor, trizacking of floors, the rotos, which we're using for finish removal and for power scrubs, and then for use on the gym floors, as well as our carpet extractors. And with the carpet extractors, mainly looking at our number one unit, which is the E5 carpet extractor. Then in addition to that, looking at some of the other specialty equipment that We use from time to time the doodle scrub, which is the smaller version of the square scrub for us to be able to get up in tight corners. The mini spotter extractor, which we can do baseboards, corners, and edges with, but we can also use it to do upholstery and upholstery cleaning with. And then the Kyvac OmniFlex spray and vac units that we can use to do our project work on cleaning steps, corners, edges, but then also where we would normally use it in bathrooms, restrooms, locker rooms, and shower rooms. So that's where we want to look at renting this equipment versus buying it and having it for that 12-month period of time and depreciating it. So I'm going to turn it over to Julia. Julia, if you'll take slide 6.
Thanks, Greg. So I'm going to talk through what is covered and what's not covered through our rental programs. It's going to be important for our managers to know what's included and what's not included, not only when they're starting the program, but throughout the duration of their rental. We will go more into this on our frontline manager call. So regular use of the machine, what you might think of as normal wear and tear, is customary and will not be charged unless there's a clear misuse of the machine. So take example, take 5 before you ride. So upon receiving the machine at the property, it's important to walk around the machine with the technician before taking the machine onto your property so you can identify if there's any existing large dents or dings, to be sure that when you're returning the machine that those were known that they were already there. So obviously what wouldn't be included to that point would be any misuse of the machine. So if something more catastrophic is to happen to the machine, that would be on the specific unit. When you go to rent a rental car when you're traveling with Aramark, you're always told to deny to use the insurance that's provided by the rental car company. Think of this as the same thing. We are insured through Aramark, so we will want to decline if we are given the option of the rental protection plan, which is offered through Sunbelt. Sunbelt is aware that we do not want our managers to have the rental protection program. However, it is good for them to just know that if they are offered, that they should decline, because there could be individual locations, individual Sunbelt walk-up shops that maybe will still offer just because that's common practice for them. So it's a good reminder that you would like to decline that. There will be an initial grip face that's provided with your first machine. If there are additional if there are additional grip faces that you need, those would be an additional fee. The same thing goes with pads. Those will not be included within the rental. We have pads that are specific for our business, and those are the pads that you should be using on your machines. So the machines will not come with pads. We do have a variety of options in terms of the ordering platform. You can call into the phone number at your local store, so your local Sunbelt offering or your local USA Clean. You can also go to the physical store as well as create an account online, and you can do all of your ordering online, whatever works best for your property. There will be freight charge associated with any rentals, depending where you're located within the United States. Both Sunbelt and USA Clean will be able to reach you. However, depending on where you are, the freight will change depending on your location, how far away you are from either a Sunbelt shop or the USA Clean distribution center. There will be training that's provided. So when the machine is dropped off, after you've walked around your machine with your technician, you are able to get some training on the machine. So if you have rented a machine that you're not used to using, it's advisable to have the representative and the technician show you how to use the machine. Well, however, what's not going to be included is if there's any personal protective equipment that you would need to use the machine in a safe manner. We do have constant uptime, which means that if anything is to go wrong with the machine while you have it during that rental period, Sunbelt will be able to come back out within 24 hours, depending on where you are, bring you a new working machine, and they'll take the old one away, and you won't have much downtime. All right, we can move on to the next slide. So just something to know, Sunbelt does have other industrial equipment that's available for rent. What we've been talking about today is mostly the FloorCare program. However, all equipment that you see here and anything that you would find on Sunbelt website would be covered under our contract, and therefore we have discounted pricing. So if there is any additional equipment that you need, you have the option to search and to price shop through Sunbelt. And now I'm going to turn it back to Craig.
Thanks, Julia. We also want to look at all of the older equipment that we have out in the field that may be out of depreciation or be stored in the closets and not being used on a regular basis. And we want to use our equipment recapitalization program that we've developed with USA Clean to go through and receive a quote on the potential sale of that equipment. We've had several WebExes on this recapitalization program in the past, and those are loaded out on aramark.net. If anybody would like to review those presentations, they were recorded and the PowerPoints are loaded up there. The key thing is to make sure that we have our managers download the USA Clean EQ Help app onto their phone and follow the 4 steps that are part of that procedure of taking a photo of the equipment, taking a picture of the serial number, taking an overall picture of the condition, and then the 4th step being writing into the box and saying, I would like to sell this equipment or receive a quote on selling this equipment. Then USA Clean will get back to them with a quote on purchasing that piece of equipment. And so everyone understands that program year to date has generated offer back to Aramark of $320,000. I'm going to turn it over to Martha now.
Great, thanks, Craig. So as we close here, we know we just communicated and shared a lot of information. You may have seen some references to tools and resources that support this program. We've created a portal through the Manager Center on aramark.net, which is focused around our programs. You'll see on the screen here, you can visit from aramark.net to Facilities, Manager Center, click on the cleaning program, and then within there, you'll see an equipment button. That's where you can find all of the supporting documents, how-tos, and tools and resources for the rental program. So with that, thank you very much for your time. And if you have any questions, you can email the facilities COE@aramark.com. Thanks.